All right. Looks like we're getting live on Facebook. So if anybody's out there on Facebook, feel free to join me if you have any questions. You want to talk to me about a whole bunch of things. Could be about the mortgage growth system, lead generation, marketing, 360-degree programs. Could be about other stuff. Could be about just Facebook advertising in general, any type of advertising, technology, anything, automation, CRM, follow-up, coaching, appointment setters, all the things I'm experienced in. So I do believe we are live. And if you just go to meetbrandonlive.com, you'll actually have the link to the Zoom. If you are joining me on Facebook, I'll try to monitor the chat and answer your questions that way, but it is definitely better if you can jump on the Zoom call. That way I can actually open up your mic and hear you. If you just want to be a bystander and kind of watch any questions that come up, that's fine too. Our call, this Q&A session here, I try to do it every Wednesday. It officially starts at 4 o'clock Eastern. So we're just starting just a couple minutes early today. But I think we're going to have a couple of people on here that seem to express some interest in getting some questions answered. So feel free to stick around. Looks like we're getting somebody right now jumping in here. So we might have some questions. Awesome. I see they're connecting. We'll let their audio connect. All right. All right. Jay Peterson, looks like you're on. Your audio is probably connected. I just unmuted you. How's it going today?
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Cool. What's your first name? So I maybe
John.
know John. Okay, cool. Awesome. Yeah. Well, you might know who I am. I possibly wanted to address maybe any thoughts or questions you had. This is the Q&A session. So lay it on me. What do you got?
Well, I spoke with, I think it was Jake, maybe.
This sounds right. Yep.
Yeah. And I was kind of in and out of several meetings, and I probably didn't do an adequate job of really getting a whole understanding of how this program works and how involved that myself and my assistant might want to be. So I hate to say it, I just clicked on this call to maybe learn a little bit more. I'm supposed to have a follow-up call with him tomorrow, but I just don't feel like I'm prepared to be as, ask the questions that I need to ask without understanding how this works and how Lindsay and I could use it to our benefit.
Okay, cool. Yeah. It's a couple of things to help me dial in is, are you guys doing, are you looking, do you know what program you guys talked about the most?
No, sir, I don't, we didn't really specify one or the other. I know there's an involvement / cost issue with how involved I might want to be, correct?
It's essentially, yeah, that could be one of the factors that a lot of people want to take into consideration. So that's probably a good place to start. The only other is that we kind of have two programs within those, which is we have options for people who are into the non-QM space. They're like hard money, DSCR type lenders, or they're more conventional side. Are you more conventional or more on the?
Yeah, we're definitely more on the conventional, FHA, VA, and USDA side. Those are pretty much what we do. We have a one-time construction or perm product we do, but those are, I don't get into the others that you mentioned much more than those products I just said.
Okay, yeah. Then I would say that yes, you're definitely not on the non-QM side. That is a program, just in case somebody's watching, that we do offer, but those are usually people who are participating in that. Usually that's kind of their specialty. They work with real estate investors and that who need like hard money, fix and flip, that type of stuff. But let me answer your questions real quick here. So I did put this page into chat, and I think it's going to be helpful for me to just kind of go over it. We've created this page. I refer to it as the How It Works page, but it's mortgagegrowthsystem.com/how will get you right here. And this kind of just gives anybody that's looking at it a kind of a 90-second overview of the options. So what I'm going to do though is I'm going to slide down real quick and kind of just talk to you about these different types of programs here that we have. So the way we look at it is we basically have 3 versions or kind of 2.5 versions of options. So done for you is kind of like what it sounds. That means we're really doing as much as we can for you legally. would include, us, we're running your ads, we're managing, setting up all the automations. We're really just, the only thing that's kind of left for you at this point is really just doing lead follow-up. And then we also have an optional upgrade for that, which if you see here at the bottom lower section is appointment setters. So a lot of people will select to do that as well. And that would even decrease the amount of follow-up you would have to do. So that's right here. That is technically available on any program though. So, and it's just so people know, this is an in-house team of appointment setters, highly trained. Most of them have 5+ years experience doing exactly this type of stuff. And again, in-house. So it's our employees and stuff. And anybody can add these on as a month-to-month option, just in case they're clear. But done for you basically means, kind of like I said, it's like anybody that wants to, participate in the program. We really are doing as much as possible as we can legally for you. What I usually like to do is kind of talk about the done with you standard before I get into the done with you hybrid. So it kind of makes sense. But let me kind of go through these real quick. So with our done for you option, it's, as we say here, it's the most hands off. It's great if you want to spend as little time and effort as possible to convert leads. The rest of this stuff is, I guess maybe it may be important to bring out the fact that over here, we have some options that include lead quantity guarantees, and we have some options that include pre-approval guarantees. Some people like that. Some people like to know that there's, some sort of guarantees of that nature happening. This would be the only program we would have that in. So I guess that's the secondary benefit. Then on the very far end of it would be our done with you program, just to show you in the grid. That's this yellow part right here. That's what we're talking about. The way that would work is if you participate in that one, we build all of the systems for you. So it says that right here. That means all the automations and all this stuff. There's a lot of stuff in the background to make all this lead flow and stuff happen very seamlessly for you. So no matter really any of the programs, we're going to build all that for you. So nobody's building that no matter what program they're in. Now, the difference with this program, though, is you do have to have sort of your own like Facebook ad manager and things of that nature. And what we do is we teach you how to use our proven ad text and format and just basically everything that's proven, that we've proven over years and years and years of experience inside of the ad manager, Facebook ad manager, and create your own ads. So you're not being creative. You don't have to like really figure out how to do anything, because we're going to show you exactly how to do that. And so first off, it's a very copy and paste method when it comes to creating the ads. But the other components, we have two ways that people learn. Some people learn on video, and that's cool. We have a big, online training program you'd log into. What we find is, though, that probably 75% of people do most of their learning on live Zoom calls just like this, where we actually control your computer. So a lot of people don't know that even that's a possibility with Zoom. And so we have calls like that, as you can see right here, it says 3 times per week, where we actually control your computer and make sure you're doing it exactly the right way. So you can't really screw up, you can't get stuck or anything like that. So what a lot of people think, though, is that there's going to be a huge amount of time, like with ads and whatnot. What we actually show you how to do is really optimize your ads in 2 to 4 weeks and time. And then usually you're not really going to have to do much else with it. So for anybody that doesn't mind clicking a few buttons, learning a few things, and starting maybe just a little bit slower than the done for you, any of our done with you programs are really pretty good, because there's not as much time as everybody expects. A lot of people are assuming like, oh, I'm going to be in here doing crazy stuff all the time. That's very rarely the case, in fact. And then our second option is really what we call the hybrid program. It's an in-between. And so it is very similar to the program I just described. The only difference is we do the ad management for you for 3 months. So you're literally not even worried about like the ads or anything during that period of time. So we have plenty of time to optimize everything for you before we hand it back off to you and say, you're okay, now you're going to steer the ship on your own. In most cases, when we do that, there's actually literally nothing for you extra to do at that point in time anyway. So that's kind of how that works. And then for people who want us to continue to manage the ads, We do have a pretty heavily discounted option for us to do that on that side. It's close to about a third of what it costs for us to do it on the done for you side. So that's kind of the core things. Now, as far as the amount of time that goes into all this, the biggest difference in time between these programs is done for you has the least amount of time to get set up. Done with you standard is probably I shouldn't say that's really the most. It's probably a tie between these two. Most people will be able to get launched up on done with you standard within about 8 to 10 hours of involvement on their side. That's you. And then the hybrid would be probably a little bit less, launched up in probably about 6 hours on average over there. Done for you would be a little bit quicker. So honestly, what I would typically recommend is that if you are not afraid to like touch a button, learn just a little bit, click a few buttons, I would typically recommend any of the done with you programs. In the long run, they're definitely going to be the cheapest. I think the main thing is lifetime support with those. So done with you, we don't have that. You need to be a paying member and participating with done for you to continue to receive support and whatnot. On the done with you programs, those just automatically include lifetime options, and you don't have to keep paying us to have those either. So you always have us in place. And I know sometimes we get the question like, well, how do I know you're still going to be there? Well, we've been around since 2016. We launched the done with you programs in 2018. I don't expect anytime soon for this stuff to go away. So I know that's a pretty long-winded answer, but hopefully that helps you a little bit. Does that a little bit? What questions?
Yeah, it does. I'm assuming there's a costing for each of these options on what we or I would pay, correct?
Yeah. So it kind of goes right to left is the cost. So right is your cheapest, hybrids a little bit more, and then done for you is definitely going to be the most. Yeah. The way I often describe it is it's kind of like done for you is kind of like being a renter of a home, right? We take care of everything for you. You don't really have to worry about too much stuff. If your sink breaks, you call the landlord, we come in and fix it. So done with you standard is kind of like owning your own home. And then done with you hybrid is like owning your own home, but a butler comes with it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. Did you have any other questions around that or something else maybe?
And in this platform that we're working together on, these leads and so forth, I mean, I don't exactly know where you guys are. I mean, I'm in the state of Georgia. So, do you customize that to my area or?
Yeah, those are good questions.
Or
Yes.
is it this whole state? I mean, obviously I can do a loan in where I live now, or I can do it in any part of Georgia, quite frankly.
There isn't any specific way that it has to be done. So that would all really depend upon you. When we onboard with you, we do figure that out. We make some recommendations based on basically what it is that you want to do. So a lot of people do an entire state. Some people do multiple states. Some people just do their greater, like metro area they live in or whatever. So the only little thing I always just try to let people know is that the more geographic area that we target, the more leads you'll actually have for the same amount of money. It's the cost per lead gets lower. So a lot of times people assume that that's not how it works. They think, oh, it's like sending out mailers or something. If I want to send out twice as many mailers, I have to pay twice as much. It's actually the opposite when you're doing digital advertising, which is pretty cool in my opinion. But yeah, that would totally depend upon your situation. For most people, if they're open to doing most of a state, I would usually recommend it because you're just going to have more leads, but you may have a strategic reason why you don't want to do that. So does that help?
Yeah, no, it does. I didn't really get a chance to think through and ask these questions when I was speaking with the Jake, I said, a couple of weeks ago.
Okay. Yeah, that's totally fine. Cool. If you have another one or two, I know we have a couple other people. I want to make sure I try to.
Yeah. No, you're good. Go ahead. I'm listening.
Okay, cool. They may ask a question that, you might benefit from too. I think L Huff, I can't unmute you, but if you want to unmute yourself, I can hear you and answer your questions. That's how you're showing up over here, L Huff. So.
Yeah, I'm Lindsay. I'm with John, so I was listening to all his questions.
Okay. Did you have any you wanted to add on that, or did he ask the same ones?
As far as accessing our computer, I mean, is that like a security thing? Would you have to get
Say,
um
say that.
approved?
Oh, you mean controlling your computer?
Yeah.
No,
How-
I mean, we do this every day with dozens of people. No, it's just literally you just push a button and it goes right through. We don't really have problems controlling that. Yep.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
just to be clear, that you're only accessing the computer at the specific time that you're on the call. It's not like they always have access to the computer. It's just,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like right now, I could literally just say, "Hey, can you let me control your computer for a second?" And if you said yes, then I could do it. And then, but yeah, it's not like a full on remote login thing where I can just get on your computer at any point in time. It's just a feature of Zoom. If you haven't used Zoom before, like if you have Pro Zoom, you can do it, or really like Office, Microsoft Teams, all those, pretty much all the softwares will do the same thing. So just
Okay.
makes it a lot easier for you instead of you like where do I click, whatever, how do I do that? we just take over and just show you like, yep, here it is and all that stuff. So it makes it really easy for you. And then in a lot of ways that does make it more done for you, if that makes any sense, because I'm literally, me or somebody else on our team is clicking the buttons for you. So
Okay.
does that help?
It does. Thank you.
Oh, yep. Next time someone's not controlling your computer and you're on a Zoom or something, and it's easier, tell them to control it. It'll save you a lot of time.
Right.
Awesome. Cool. If you didn't have other questions, I mean, we'll still be here for like a full hour. So I'll probably just check in on some of the other folks real quick and see. I didn't see what order other folks came in, but Devin was nice enough to keep his camera on. So I will check in with you first. He's drinking coffee. He's making me jealous. No. Uh-oh. I think your audio may not be working. I just unmuted you. If you may have to click the microphone button, there's like a little arrow that looks like this. And it may be defaulting to a different microphone. You have AirPods in or something? Is that what it is? Yeah, I can see you may have to tell it to access your Bluetooth or something.
How's that? Now can you hear me?
I can. Now
All
we're
right. Yeah, that's using the computer.
yeah.
Technology's great when it works.
I bet. That's how it is. We have a bunch of microphones. Your computer's always like, which one am I using? But anyway, yeah. What questions might you have today?
I kind of just jumped into this. I had a question for Jake.
And I mean, I might be able to answer if it's really
Okay,
specific.
this program seems a little different than the one I was talking with him about.
We probably describe things a little bit differently. It's possible. Jake, do you remember if you talked mostly about a specific, Jake's on here, which program you talked to Devin about?
That's for the real estate investor program. So that'd be
Oh yeah.
client only.
Yeah. So you were, yeah. So that's what I don't know if you heard that first part. So we have basically, the non-QM program. It sounds like that's more your style, whatever. That is strictly a done for you program. We don't have options for that on the done for you side. That is strictly a done for you program. So that's the situation where we're just doing, basically, again, everything that we can for you that we legally can. And then you're really just doing the lead follow-ups and talking to people, talking to them through their scenarios and putting deals together. So that's kind of how that one works. Yeah. So you would be in the most hands-off version of the program if you were looking at that. So did you have other questions around that stuff?
I did. I mean, I imagine that they should be
Sure.
relevant to this.
Yeah.
I got to pull up my list of questions.
It's quite possible they might be.
With your, I'm going to go off the presumption that like the lead capture questions that you use in Facebook are the same regardless of which version of it is, whether it's like are they? To some degree?
Well, to some degree. I mean, we would definitely use different questions, like if it were purchase, conventional, refi, conventional, or non-QM. So we kind of have standardized formats. But what I want to be clear is that that's all very adjustable. So if somebody needs a specific question asked, we can just adjust it, and we do that all the time. So it's not really a big deal. So essentially we have a couple different templates we'd use depending on the lead type. And then if you found that you needed a different question added or changed or
Okay.
something like that, we can change all that. Yeah, everything's customized, really, no matter what program you're in. So
Okay. With regards to the automation that goes out when the customer does their interaction with, call it point of sale, when whatever their interaction is with the set questions that you guys have,
uh-huh.
how does the CRM filter that based off their answers?
That's all actually technically, if you really want to get nerdy about it, that's all really being done in the back end through a tool called Zapier. So we're
Okay.
using just logic. So some people may be familiar with that tool. It's looking for certain key words or answers they give to send them off into different campaigns and resegment them
Okay.
in CRM. So, and that would be the case on any of the programs. So that's really how it works. Yeah.
I didn't mean so much, I might have just been the way I worded it, not so much the technical, what systems have, but what, that it's, I guess that it does use the data based off the answers to
It does.
filter what campaigns it goes to.
Totally does. Yep.
Okay. If I write calls at the most inconvenient time,
That's how all my calls come in too. I
what
promise.
attorneys are. And this guy, let me just tell him I'm coming back. Hey, Danny, can I call you back in about 15 minutes? All right, thanks, buddy.
Cool.
Next question. I noticed you guys had appointment setting assistance.
Yep.
How is your call center set up? Are they actually people calling in your office, or is it?
I mean, do you mean like in your office?
No, not in our office. And yours is in you.
We're technically all of our team is remote for the most part.
Okay.
Chrissy, who's not remote, she's with us here, and we're in Indianapolis. That's where we're headquartered, but our team is literally all over the country and the world. So, so technically they're not in our office, but they are in the office because all of our offices are remote, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. One more question. So I have a customer, I'm a friend of mine, who owns a company that has a pre-qualification system that they use.
Mm-hmm.
And it pulls their pre-qual system will pull data as a soft pull from each of the credit bureaus. And I was wondering if there was a way to incorporate something like that into this setup.
There might be. So we don't do that. We looked at some stuff like that. We technically have to have a license, is what we found out. Some sort of
Okay.
less license, which we don't. So we can't actually acquire that software. Like one of the tools that we looked at was like iSoft, if you've ever heard of it.
Okay.
So, but you could use that. I don't know if you've ever looked at it yourself. If that's, some people like to have that, that tool, because you can do, soft credit pulls they're quick and they're way cheaper and they're, not invasive to the client and all that. But yeah, unfortunately, we don't have any way to like actually legally do that. So otherwise we would have considered such a thing.
I hadn't even thought about the licensing piece. It's a good point, though.
Yeah, sucks, but unfortunately.
Well, I looked at the questions you guys ask, and they're very specific.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody that gives an honest answer, we're going to be able to discern what we should and should not tell them, unless they're just flat out lying.
Yeah. Well, the only thing I would say in your I would think that's the case. The only thing that's a little bit different in your category is we find that a lot of the people have multiple loan needs or multiple properties, and they may not always choose even the best property when they're answer the information. So that's one of the things I do guide people that are doing any type of non-QM stuff. Sometimes it's easy to look at someone and say, oh, maybe I can't really do anything for this person. But if you get on the phone with them, you may find out that that's not really the case, that maybe they have something else. So that's one of the things I'm always like adamant about too, is like, so like you may have somebody that has maybe a lower loan value, for instance, and you're like, oh geez, I don't really want to. But you get them on the phone, you find out, oh, well, I have another property, that's twice the size. I'm going to need to refi that in about 2 months. And then another one that I'm going to buy, then you're like, okay, changes the whole dynamics of it. So that would really only apply to non-QM side of things, though. You pretty much not going to find that on the conventional stuff. So,
Okay.
yep. Did I knock out all your questions, or do you have a few others in there?
No, that did. I don't have a lot of information yet about your CRM system.
What I would possibly recommend doing is,
Mhm.
I mean, I think I'm trying to I think we had somebody else and they had to jump off. I mean, I can give you a quick little preview. It's just going to take me a moment to open it up, but I can definitely send you like what we have as our overview video, which is what we usually recommend people look at like when they're first onboarding with us. Like get used to
That would
like,
be great. That way you don't want to take up anybody else's time with it.
I mean, I don't know that. I think we'd probably answer most of the questions unless other people jump on. I can give you at least the super quick version of it.
Okay. It's cool.
I will have to show you a version that's basically like a dummy version, so you won't
That's fine.
quite see what what you would see if you were actually using. Just give me a second to load it up here.
Here's a question regarding the CRM. I'm sorry, somebody else was talking.
I heard what he said. I was just, is there another spot for us to look at that? When you say you're going to dummy it down for us, is maybe I need to see that on my own somewhere else, kind of like he probably does.
Yeah. Do you guys, if you guys all know where chat is, I'm going to put in a link, and this actually takes,
Oh, down at the bottom. Okay.
yeah, this will take you to our big library of videos. And then here, I'll just show my screen just in case that link should work. I know we had some URL issues the other day with it. That link I just shared will take you to like a spreadsheet like this. It'll load up here in a second. Overview video is right here. It's about 15 minutes long, and it does show you kind of like the basics of it. We don't, even though this is kind of a standalone tool, we don't really like promote it to other people. People can use it. We do have people doing that, but we don't really actively promote it. So I don't have something that I would consider like a true demo, like, oh, this CRM is so cool. This is really truly more of a walkthrough of the CRM.
Okay.
But a lot of people, if anyone on here has ever used like Go High Level, a lot of people will say it's very similar to that. And I've been in Go High Level. I would say, yes, it is probably pretty similar to this, but like some of the core things to tell you about, which I really can't visually show you, is, you can do text messages, you can do text with, like an image or a business card in it, or a PDF, just all kinds of stuff in it. You can do voicemail, you can make phone calls, you can do videos, video emails. It has a system like BombBomb just built inside of it. So those are the main things you need to know about like what it's capable of. I mean, basically it's capable of any type of standard communication, in other words. It's what I really love about it is we have like one centralized section right here, which if I'm in here, you can see like different communications. You can really handle the whole lead. So most of our clients will be in this area time, and they don't need to do a whole lot else while they're going through here. So you can see like all this big chain of communication, and then unreads will show up here and here. And then, like it makes it very easy to ensure you're not missing responses, is basically what I'm getting at, which is, in my opinion, super, super critical. The other component about it, which I think is pretty cool, is we have all these stages in place. And these are all fake people, so don't worry. If I drop, like even drag and drop somebody to a different category, it notes all that, it puts them into an appropriate campaign, which also makes it super easy. And there are multiple ways to make such a move. You don't have to do it from this drag and drop screen, but this is just one piece. And then something that's a little bit more standard for people would be this view. This is a little bit closer to what you might be used to with a normal CRM. So as you can see here, there's a lot of different options, right? I can go look at their details. I can send a text right now, make a phone call. leave a voicemail. So that's a ringless voicemail or voice drop, whatever you want to, however you like to call it. I can create tasks, activities, leave notes, all kinds of things. So if I go into this profile, this is all dummy account stuff. So nothing's really happening.
Okay.
But if I could go in here and send a text, sending a text. All right, boom. Obviously it's telling me that's not a real number. So because it's not a real number. It would have shown up there. I kind of forgot that I was going to do that, but you have a lot of different things over here that allow you to just like put in as much information as you would like, more info, fills out. There's, this is like where all their long form information goes basically. And
Okay.
this is adjustable. So you could change this. And if there was something you wanted to be added, or like maybe you decided to use it for more than just what we teach you to use it for. And you're like, oh, I need a field for, I don't know, whatever. You could add that. And then you'd have all that here. I mean, I can assure you it's a super, super capable CRM. It's pretty darn user-friendly in my opinion. And again, we set all this stuff up. We actually have about 60, maybe 70 different campaigns already created for just about every type of lending or lead or whatever it is that you can think of. So we've thought through this quite a bit. Let me put it that way. So
How much of the initial upfront communication to the prospective lead is done automatically?
Quite, for most people, it's quite a bit. This, just like the questions are adjustable too. So some people will, say over, adjust things. They're like, you know what? I do a lot better job at following up. I love calling people, just hammering the phones, that stuff, in which case we can make adjustments to the campaigns. Again, we've created all these campaigns based on like just years of experience watching the average user, the things that they do and don't do, and trying to, compensate for their lack of ability to work leads properly. In other words, that would all just depend a little bit. And so we do have the coaching calls 3 times per week where that's part of the reason for those calls, is for us to like proactively assess what you're doing or not doing and what maybe would be helpful to adjust in the CRM, particular for you, kind of like a watch band, right? Might be too tight. We'll loosen it up for you, so on and so forth. Hope that analogy makes sense, but does that help at all?
It does. It does.
Cool. Any other question? I saw we had one other person jump on, but did you have any? No.
No.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll probably I'll put you on mute for a second, and they may have some other questions for you. Check back in a second. And I think Elon, if hopefully I'm saying your name right.
Amazingly enough, yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, good. I got an A+, huh? Are you just being nice and I actually got a B+?
No, I got to say, a handful of people in my life have gotten it right the first time. So you are among that handful.
All right, awesome. Got lucky. All right, what questions do we have for you on your side?
I have one I think is relatively simple. I made the mistake of going with an outfit that is just made a mess of my account. So I'm currently locked out of Facebook. My account's been disabled and flagged. That's just a matter, and I've tried to communicate with Facebook. They're like 6 weeks and they just keep saying, no, rest assured, we're working on it. I don't think they're actually going to do anything. Is that an issue? Can I just erase that ad account and create a new one as far as you know?
The rules with Facebook do move around quite a bit. There's a handful of different ways. One thing I would ask you first though is if you're looking at any of our programs, if you're looking at the Done For You program, then that stuff doesn't actually matter. If you are looking at the Done With You options, the hybrid or the standard version, then it could matter, and we will need to dig into that problem. Now, that does happen for some people, and there's in some ways there are no ways around it. That being said, that's not exactly true. So what we do have a lot of people do is, if that happens to them, is they may use like a spouse or a family member's profile to log in and create an ad account and business manager account. There's a whole bunch of different ways that you may be disabled, and you may or may not know the exact language. There's like personal disablement, there's business manager disablement, there's page disablement, and there's ad account disablement. And each of those will have a different impact on your flexibility on what you can do. Do you know specifically if it's just ad account?
It is just, yeah, and it's not, it is just ad account, and it's the ad account that a third party created. So it's
And-
labeled as that other company, so it's me, but then it says, the X mortgage account.
Okay. Do you know if that was created inside of your own business manager?
It was created inside my own business manager, but I was told I couldn't erase it, but I'm actually looking at the screen right now where it gives me the ability to erase that ad account. I want to talk to you guys before I did anything, but I'm thinking if I just erase that,
Yeah, I would be careful about erasing it. It may or may not let you do that.
oh, I
The-
got you.
Yeah, so if you, actually, I can probably take a quick look. I know this is a little bit side topic, and I can show Huff here how we do this. If you want to, is it up right now?
It is, yeah.
If you want to give me control, I can take a quick look and probably tell you where you sit actually. So the good thing is if you're in your bit, which screen should I be? Okay, I see it already. I'm on there. All right. So okay. Okay, so that is owned by you. So let me see one other thing here. Okay, so here's good news. You have the ability to create 9 more ad accounts.
Okay,
Yeah, so you're actually probably just fine. And that was the main thing I was looking at. Yeah, I have a feeling I know maybe who you work with, and I've seen I've seen a lot of issues with that. I can
no.
already know they didn't have you set a lot of
yeah,
stuff.
no, I can tell you, so I started with them in January before they really had a lot of exposure. So there wasn't really a lot of research I could do on them, or there wasn't a lot of information. Yeah,
Yeah.
as of a couple weeks ago, that has changed, and there's not a lot of positive. There's not a lot of positive out there. And in addition to the F rating they've gotten from the BBB, most of what I've been reading has been negative. It was a really big mistake on my part.
Yeah, and I'm sorry to hear that with you. I'm going to make a quick recommendation for you though, real quick. Do you own any business entity?
So I feel ignorant asking this, but what is that referring to? Is that referring to other URLs or
No.
ad content?
So them not even having you fill all this part out was a big mistake. This part needs to be filled out. And I would do that ASAP today. So
Okay,
if you own a business, you just hit edit. If you own a business entity, I would use that, even if that business entity has nothing to do with mortgage or real estate. That's what I'd put in there. If you do not, make this your personal information. Let me just see if you've, yeah, I would do that ASAP, because without this information, if Facebook decides today to look at it, they would probably say, oh, this isn't good. And they'll lock this whole thing down. So right now you're not like completely locked down. You just have you just got, a little nick in the knee, basically. We're still good.
gotcha.
Is that, yeah. So is that helpful a little bit? But does that make sense? I would put that business info in today though, for sure.
It does make, yeah, I'm actually gonna do that now. And it mainly came up because I was trying to figure out, I was gonna do the self-guided 6-week one. So I'm wondering if maybe I need to go more full service, but I'm working with Jake, so I'll connect with him after. And
Yeah, he can guide you. Yeah, either way is fine. Like if you happen to use the 6-week one, you do have an option to select the lifetime stuff later. The one thing I will tell
Okay.
you is that Facebook technology, all the stuff changes quite a bit. And there is absolutely a benefit to having that lifetime support. I mean, you may have, no, I don't think you did because we came on a little bit later, but we've been doing this since 2018. We definitely have a lot of people who bought the program 2018, 19, 20, 21, you name it, and they still can come back and get free support. And I guarantee you that if there's one thing that's going to be a constant is change when it comes to Facebook or technology or the rules of the internet. And we actually there's a lot of stuff that's coming down the pipeline right now, both with Facebook and just with the way actual internet works in general. The whole, I don't know, since you're a little bit on this side, the world of cookies, if anybody's familiar with that, is actually is largely gone at this point, and it's going to be completely gone by the midsummer next year. Like Google is already telling us, announcing like, hey, it's over, no more cookies anywhere, period. So we're going to move into a cookieless universe here pretty soon. And that's going to have a big impact on all kinds of stuff. So
Does that mean does that also mean the pixels go away where you can track cross platforms?
yeah, it will change. So cookies have been cookie based. Now it's going to be API based, and it will just work differently, but it is unfortunately a lot more complicated. That's why it's beneficial to have guidance from people that know what they're doing and have done all the nerdy difficult work for you, so we can just click the buttons for you. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah.
Cool. You have any other questions while you're on here?
No, this is perfect, man. I'm
Cool. Awesome.
looking forward to it.
I'm glad you jumped on to get some questions answered. And well, I'll put you on mute for a second, then I'll just kind of circle back and see, sometimes when I talk, it makes other people think of questions. Peterson, sorry, I forgot his first name. I'm bad. I have a horrible name memory, but do you have any questions that have come up since we've been talking through all this stuff? You're on mute, so if you do, I can unmute you.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
Did you? You're good. You have any others?
Well, from a compliance piece, obviously I work for, another company.
Yeah.
I mean, are there compliance features that I need to stuff I need to get cleared on my end with my company, or?
That depends upon you. I will say a good portion, probably the vast majority of our clients don't do that. It would depend on how much you kind of know about your company. Like some companies, they have a horrible compliance process to get through it, and it's brutal, and it can take weeks and weeks and weeks. We're an approved vendor with about 24 companies, so we've been through it. What we do is considered compliant by like 99% of the companies. So a lot of people just won't go through that process. And like, if, later on your company that says, hey, I found out you're running ads, and, it's usually a slap on the wrist, and then you may go through it. Now, if you want to go through it up front, that's optional. You can do it, or, it just kind of depends on how you want to do it. So does that help answer your question a little bit?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. And some companies don't have a lot of red tape. Some people are just like, oh, we just want to know in general what you're doing. That would be on the extreme side of minimal red tape. And then some companies are huge amounts of red tape. Like right now, we're going through the same thing with like Flagstar. We're going through their oil compliance thing. Lots of red tape over there.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, but yeah. Any other questions, or you're running out? That's good.
I'm good. And I'll follow back up, I think tomorrow with Jake, and if I have anything else I can discuss with him.
Okay, cool. Awesome. And then I'll check on anybody else. Anybody else have questions coming up? Nope, Devin's good. That sounds like. I think, let me just check here, make sure. Yeah, I think everybody. So I think I've gotten to everybody that's on this call. You're more than welcome to stay on. If you have more questions, just unmute your mic and I'll answer them for you. And in the meantime, I'll see if Chrissy or Jake have anything they want me to talk about today. Chrissy's our creative director and president, and Jake's our rep. You may have talked to him. I think some of you have. So at the very least, am I forgetting anything from either of you, Jake or Chrissy?
I was waiting to see if Jake had anything. I don't really have much. It just seems like there has been a lot of interest lately in the Agent GoGo. So I don't know if you want to, I know you already spent a little bit of time talking about that today.
Oh,
but
the CRM, is
Yeah.
that part of it? Yeah. Well, I don't know what else I could provide other than to say, like, what I would say is the reason why we do all the coaching calls is we do actually have two types of coaching calls. We have ones that are deeper tech for the people that are asking like the Facebook based questions. And then we have ones that are really just like coaching, sales, conversion strategies. So we really know how important it is to, like, for especially if a client's new with us, to be at least on the coaching side calls where we're helping them understand how to use the CRM. It is very easy and user intuitive, but it also just depends on like how, every individual is going to like be more comfortable with software than others, right? We have some clients that just like master it almost overnight. We have others that ask the same question every time they come on every other day, and that's fine. And that's why we want to have those calls, is to not only just make like really literally proactively watch the way you're using the CRM, maximizing what you can do with it, and really just leveraging the automations. Like there is always a component of like human follow-up, like real human phone calls will always take your conversions to the next level, besides just like relying upon like automated emails and texts. Those help you. It's kind of like, think of it as like, assistant doing work, or, if you have Siri on your phone or whatever, that stuff helps, but it's not the end all be all. You definitely want to still be able to make some phone calls, but there are times and ways that you can leverage automations that seem almost invisible to the other user, that actually just saves you a bunch of time. And so that's really first off, that's what we did. That's what we baked into the system when we designed this whole thing. And then on top of it, we just want to make sure you know how to steer it. Again, like I talk a lot about like Tesla car, like if you're familiar with the Tesla, it has, autopilot and all that stuff. Well, if you've ever been in a Tesla, it's not exactly true. Like it's not going to like 100% drive you. Like there's times where you got to take control. You got to turn off the autopilot. You got to, it's going to, alert you to things where you have to do a few things. And the CRM is very much like that. It can drive you some of the time. It's not going to drive you all the time. You still got to pay attention a little bit. And so that's what our coaching calls are a little bit about. So, but yeah, it's a super cool tool though. And you can, so the other thing is like, if you can absolutely use it for other leads too. And a lot of people do. We even have campaigns for all that stuff. That's why I was saying we have like 60 plus campaigns. We don't preload everybody's CRM with all 60. You can actually just download them right from inside the CRM, and they're pretty much ready to go. But we only set you up with about like a dozen. The dozen we know you're going to need. But if you have other leads from other lead sources, again, whether it's a live lead source or an old lead source, or maybe it's referrals, or realtor gave you a bunch of leads, whatever the case may be, you can put them in there. And we have campaigns for all that stuff. And actually creating your own campaigns is it's pretty easy too. Quite frankly, it's a lot easier than Go High Level for people who use Go High Level, which is one of the reasons why we decided not to use that CRM. As good as it may be, the setup on that side is really complicated in my opinion. So, but that's kind of my 2 cents on that. Jake.
Well, if you notice, like there's been people that have joined our program that weren't doing really well with their company, and they've become one of the top producers. And there's people that have joined our program that were top producers, and they've been with us for like a long time now. Like, what's a common thing that they're doing that separates them from people that are not as successful overall?
Well, kind of what I was just talking. A lot of it is being actually on our coaching calls. Like, so for those people that haven't worked with us, obviously, like, I don't know, probably 2 years ago, we didn't really have coaching calls. We just did like one-off calls, like a client would schedule with us if they had questions and whatnot. And then what I figured out was, after years of doing this, I was like, man, what I need to do is just have these coaching calls all the time. So we it's almost like a mastermind, if you will, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, where a handful of loan officers jump on these calls, and everybody can learn from each other's questions. There's actually sometimes they're sharing like, oh, I saw that you did this thing with this, this lead over here. How'd that work? What do you do? And so sometimes the loan officers share amongst themselves to a certain degree. And it really actually expedites our whole learning process and what we can teach people. I think largely that has a lot to do with it. Some of it is a lot of little tiny nuances actually with what you're doing. And I will say, kind of like I was just saying, one of the pieces is definitely making real human phone calls. That's one thing I think that a lot of people just kind of get into their mind, like, oh, automations are going to 100% take care of everything. That's just not the case. It's never going to be the case. And Christy, can you pop the 21 tips, the number part 1 video into the Slack here, or Slack, into chat here, and they can watch that. And so we have I've just put out a bunch of YouTube videos, and we have a 21 conversion tips. I think that's really helpful. That's actually not every single tip we have, but it's the bulk of them. It's probably our best ones. And so if you guys like it, you might want to watch that and take a glance about like what I'm talking about. So even if you are, generating any types of leads right now, it may be helpful for you to watch that. We have a PDF that you can download on there. Actually, I'll put that one in because I remember it's hard to remember a YouTube URL, but I do remember what that URL is where you can download that PDF. It does have to get emailed to you, but you'll see it there. So 21 tips, but I think that's a large part of it is just being engaged with it. I do talk about it. Part 3 of that 21 tips video isn't out yet. I think we're going to publish that tomorrow, but but the PDF has all of them in there. But yeah, I think a lot of it just has to do with just paying attention to the little things. It's like the devil's in the details, but that's an old saying, but it's true. It's true. Non-QM lenders may know what I'm talking about, right? So yeah, devil's in the details. And if you just pay attention to little tiny details and then just lean on the group support and our knowledge, we can really kind of really help anybody get over the hump. So, and make sure they're moving forward. Jake, what else you got for me?
That was pretty much it.
Okay, cool.
Covered it for sure.
Well, with that,
and then just importation of leads. So I know a lot of the clients I still speak to, they're importing a lot of their own leads and data, and they've fully transitioned, and they found even their own sources to do like email marketing or their own database or just leads the company gave them, and they've imported them with, there's one guy we had, he imported 50,000 names, numbers, emails, and we started marketing them all. It's cost the MLO not 1 cent to do all that. So something to be caveat of as well. This whole management system can be used for your business.
Yeah. I think that brings up a good topic. I mean, I often say that we do a 360-degree marketing strategy. So a lot of people do get hung up on just like the idea that, all we do is generate leads. That's not really the case at all. I mean, we want to provide you with tools and help build efficiencies into your business. A lot of that includes automations. We're huge automation nerds on this back end. You don't have to be a nerd about it because you have us in your corner, and we are the nerds that help make all that stuff happen. But yeah, we have a lot of people that definitely, especially once they see the CRM, they get used to it and they're using it. They're like, oh yeah. Well, first off, who wants 1,000 softwares that does the same thing? Secondly, very honestly, I've never ever seen anybody come to us with a CRM that is well thought out and built out the way we have done it, or what's even capable in the system. And I'm not like patting myself on my back or anything for having what we have. We built this out of necessity because of that fact, because we've encountered so many people saying, oh, well, I already have a CRM. And I said, well, what do you have for automations? What do you have for campaigns set up? And most people are like, well, we don't really have that yet, or I don't barely have that, or I don't know how it works, or I don't know how to set it up. And then, so I was just, we threw our hands up a while ago and said, okay, we're not going to do that. We're going to just provide, an A to Z solution and make it way, way better than anything else. And so we did take a lot of time, creating what we have currently. We did used to use a third-party tool, which was okay in the interim. But now we use this. Yeah. And Jake has one more thing you wanted to fill in.
Oh, that's good. Sorry,
Yep.
delayed there. Devin, Elon, do you have any additional questions?
You're on mute, Devin. I saw your lips move, but you can go like this if it's a no, and you don't have to unmute. Elon unmuted. Real quick, we'll get his real quick, and then Devin will check in. Elon, go ahead.
Unmute.
No, actually, no, I don't have anything. I did a good amount of research on you guys, and
Cool.
my main
Yeah.
question you already answered is, am I screwed with Facebook? But it sounds like we have some options.
Yeah, I was glad to see that. Devin, you unmuted now. What questions did you have?
Actually, I was telling Jake that I went through all of them earlier.
Okay. We fleshed out most of the questions. Well, I appreciate you guys jumping on. If you don't have anything else, I think we've cleared out all the questions that I'm probably going to get today. Since
Jake is fantastic, by the way.
cool.
Yeah,
He's a pleasure to work with, and I'm exceptionally particular.
It's his birthday today.
That was really
happy birthday, man.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, look at him. He's working on his birthday.
That's right.
Nice.
Hopefully he'll take off a little bit later and enjoy his evening at the very least. So
One last thing, Brandon, just because I know this is important. So I know Devin's looking at targeting Florida to start, and then Elon, I did forget the area, but just ease of switching areas. So some loan officers start in their like hometown or the metropolitan area, and then just say, you know what, we actually got a license here now. We're going to focus on the Midwest. It's cheaper leads. Like, how easy is that transition if you just want to switch territories?
yeah, I mean, it's very easy, you know, for Elon, since he has, you know, his own ad account and stuff like that. I mean, just, I don't know if you ever touched any of that or if the Zelle guys did all that stuff for you, but it's literally just, you just literally type in the county or the state.
Yeah. My
And then-
first one was statewide, so it was pretty simple. I just put Texas and
Yeah.
that's all Texas, but I did see where I could narrow it down by county or zip code.
Yeah.
Okay.
You
County,
can't really do zip code. I mean, you
right, that's right, it was county, yeah.
kind of can, but not really. But yeah, county or state or whole country for some people. But yeah, it's super easy to do that. And then you know, obviously if someone's like Devin is on our done for you side, they just say, hey, add this other state that I want or this other area, and we just do it. And usually it takes a couple hours and we're already made the adjustments. So it's not a big deal. So
If I was to, what are the options to split the setup?
oh, you mean with someone else?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what we usually ask is try not to have more than 2 people split on it, or
Okay.
make some arrangements around that if there are more people. But it's pretty simple. Most people who do a split, that, you know, they just split like with one other person or something like that, and then they do, you know, 50-50 billing, or, you know, we can adjust a little bit. What we've definitely found, and we try to avoid at all costs, is having it split between a bunch of people, because inevitably,
That
There's
sounds like a nightmare.
yeah,
I mean, me and one other person.
yeah, 2 people is usually not a big deal. It's not a problem. But yeah, if you have a big team, we have a big team of 6 that just came on. I was like, yeah, you guys all have to pay this up front, like, because we can't sit here. Inevitably somebody's card gets banged up and doesn't go through or something like that, and then everybody has to stop, and it's not fair to everybody. So we try to avoid that for that reason. But yeah,
All right.
but yeah, that's pretty simple. So we would just do a split billing with you and the other person, basically, or if, you know, if you're like, oh, I'm covering 70%, cool, whatever. So
All right.
yep,
Cool.
cool. Well,
Because
Devin,
I'm learning the hard way that opening up a brokerage is not as simple as it sounds, at least not to do it right.
I've heard that many times. It does sound kind of nightmarish, but I guess
You
there's the
know,
benefit of down the road, when it's all said and done, you've done it right, then you'll have, yeah.
well, there's a building a website, which is not as simple as it sounds, to do a decent one,
True.
the writing everything, and then there's the getting set up with lenders.
Yeah, there's, I know.
I really love the broker model. It's a lot better than the lending side. I should have made this move a long time ago, but if, you know, I'm going to work as a contractor, why just work for myself?
Right, exactly.
Devin,
Not bad.
on a personal note, you're like the 4th person that said that in the last few weeks.
Yeah.
They're digging the
What-
broker side a lot more than being a direct lender.
The being with the direct lender has advantages, but I found it has a lot more disadvantages that I found than advantages. But I worked for like really large lenders like Caliber for years, great company, horrible rates. And then I was at GR for about 4.5.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they're just a monstrosity that just wants to be cheap
Yeah.
in every aspect of existence, which doesn't make well for taking care of employees. We'll leave it at that. But after leaving, I kind of like changing companies, but I went over to the broker model and I love it. It's, yeah, you got to learn different systems because each company has their own operating system, but that's a little quirky, but getting past that, it's smooth.
That's
Another
good.
broker side's kicking our butts right now on rates. So
Yeah. I've definitely seen a big move towards people going on the broker side. Obviously, with our rate environment, I think that's a big motivator for a lot of people. So for sure.
What do you find, Brandon, with, because I hadn't gone into this thinking about doing like conforming loan,
Uh-huh.
agency loans. Because to me, like if it's an agency loan, it's a different animal. What do you see on the marketing side?
I would if you are, how you do a lot of non-QM type stuff. Do you
I do mostly complicated stuff. So whether but I prefer to deal with investors and
yeah.
on, non like bank statement loans and things of that nature.
It sounds like you've been in the business at least 10 years, I'm guessing.
Yeah, more than a minute. Yeah.
What I would say is like if someone's on the non-QM side of things, I would typically recommend staying over on that side. Once in a while, generating the real estate investor leads types, you will come across someone where it makes more sense to get their deal out of the non-QM side and put it to a more conventional type of loan. In general, you don't see that too much, but it does happen here and there. Especially when people don't understand, like the borrower doesn't understand the guidelines and you're like, oh, you live in that house? Okay, wait a second. Yeah. you're still living in that house right now. Okay, wait. But
one more question, Brandon.
Yeah.
Because I asked Jake last night, but I wasn't sure. I thought I would ask you. On the non-QM side, do you have, I don't know what the technical term is to call them, but like the group calls during the week?
Yeah.
Do you guys have any type of database where people share like investors? Not investors that buy homes. I mean, by investors, I mean lenders.
Yeah. The
On
whole
the broker side.
Yeah.
Man.
Some people will share. I will tell you, a lot of the guys do try to keep it kind of
Close to the vest. Yeah, I know how it goes.
Yeah.
I have a great one for you, if you don't mind.
Sure.
No,
Have you-
sure.
Have you signed up with Lenshore yet?
I've looked at them. I've never actually done a deal with them. What was your experience?
So rates are on par. I do a lot of non-QM. I work with Angel Oak, ACC, and Greenbox. We just got
Okay.
signed up with Lenshore. Rates are competitive, but they do something I've never seen anyone else do. They let us stack 2 1/4 into the loan. So it's financed into the loan instead of the borrower having to pay it at closing.
Oh, that's right.
I've
I
never
remember
seen
looking
anyone
at
else
them a
do
long
that.
time ago.
I've won a few deals, even if the rate's about an 1/8 or 1/4 higher. I've had several people go with me because of that one thing alone.
That's interesting.
That's cool.
All right.
The tip.
Have you ever worked with NextRes?
I have not. I've heard of them, but
Okay.
no.
They do some interesting stuff. Their rates aren't that pretty, but when they're doing what they do, it's kind of one of those, it's that or stroke a check scenario.
Yeah, it's dirty deals kind of thing. Yeah.
Like I've never owned a house before. I don't have a history of buying or flipping houses, but I want to buy an investment property to have a 580 credit score. Yeah.
And I want to put 10% down.
Right. Very few, at least they require a little bit of down on that one, but they do things like that where that's what their specialty is they'll do investment purchases, DSCR, with no history of owning a house without reserves.
Really?
Yeah. Right.
What are
That's kind of told him the same thing when he first was talking to me.
What do they require for the debt service? 1-to-1 or?
They'll go down to I want to say 0.75. I haven't confirmed whether that affects credit score. I would presume it does, but I haven't verified it. Their rep's really good.
This is good stuff. Yeah, this is what it's all about, right? Is getting creative and making deals
Yeah.
happen. Someone else said no. Yeah.
There's ways to get just about everything done. Somebody will eventually do it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Products keep rolling out.
All right. I take it, is it Chrissy, your wife, Brandon?
She is also, yes, that is also the case.
Yeah.
It's very nice to meet everybody.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks for
thanks.
coming
Yeah,
on.
thanks, guys.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday, Jake.
Yep, it's 5 o'clock. It's time for me to eat dinner soon. See you guys.
Bye.